go back and study the history of the 1849 gold rush, you will find that anyone that was within shooting distance of California, whether they used to be physicians or had businesses, they quit being that doctor and started panning for gold. And that almost never works. Even if it does work, according to some metric, financial success, or whatever it may be, I suspect that leaves you ultimately unsatisfied. So you really need to be very clear with yourself. And I think one of the best ways to do that is this notion of projecting yourself forward to age 80. Looking back in your life, making sure that you've minimized the amount of regrets that you've had. That works for career decisions. That works for family decisions. I know if I think of myself, I know I want to watch myself grow. I don't want to be 80 and think, oh my goodness, I missed that whole thing. Or maybe I don't have that relationship with my wife that I wish I had, and so on. So think about that. I guess another thing I would recommend to people is that you always take a long-term point of view. You brought that, Gaber. I'd recommend that with everyone that's with Worthy Crowdfunding that wants to sign up with us, that wants to even get involved with Worthy Donors. We're all talking about that. They got to think long-term. I'm going to talk about something that there's a lot of controversy. A lot of people, and I'm just not one of them, that believes that you should live within the now. Now, when we talked about living in the moment. Instead, I think about the great expansive time ahead of you. And try to make sure that you're planning for that way that's going to leave you ultimately satisfied. This is just me. This is just my way of doing things. This is how it works for me, Avril. Everybody needs to find that for themselves. I do think that there are a lot of paths to satisfaction, and you need to find the one that works for you. The number one thing that is made people successful that I have found is by being obsessively, compulsively focused on the customer. And that's what we want to do at Worthy Crowdfunding. If you're going to do anything new or innovative, you have to be willing to be misunderstood. When you're criticized, and you will be criticized, and when you are, look in the mirror and decide, are your critics right? If they're right, then just change. People ask me about stress. And stress primarily comes from just not taking action. So let's again focus on the customer. That's what we have to do as we're building and growing Worthy Crowdfunding. The number one thing that is going to make us successful by far is that obsessive, compulsive focus on the customer, as opposed to obsession over the competitor. We've talked about that, haven't we, Seth? And I know I talk often to other business owners, other entrepreneurs, and I can tell that even though they're talking about customer service, they're really focusing on competitors. And I think it's a huge advantage to any company You need to stay focused on your customer instead of your competitors. We talked about critics. Well, my approach to criticism, first look in the mirror and decide are your critics right. And as I mentioned before, if they are, then change. There are two kinds of critics. There's well-meaning critics. They're worried it's not going to work. They do want it to work. So I can give you an example of customer reviews that people make, and some of them are negative. You have to stick to your guns, right? And know that when you have to change, then you change. The second kind of critic, which is the self-interested critic, they come in all shapes and sizes. They can be any kind of institution, competitors. And when you're doing something new, in a new way, and if customers embrace that new way, what's going to happen? If I'm saying this word right, incumbents. What incumbents that are practicing the older way are not going to like you. And they're going to be self-interested critics. I'm sure there are people in the traditional investment banking world, that don't like that I'm turning this traditional way of raising capital into this new way with crowdfunding. And I think you need to just look yourself in the mirror and
embrace the change.
Think about how can you be effective exactly. I'm in the process of creating a team for all of you. And there are a lot of new ideas that are coming out. So we do have a weird meeting culture as we did yesterday. As you guys have encountered, what are you having this morning, right? Follow your intuition. I believe in the power of wandering. All of my best decisions in business and in life have been made with heart, intuition, not necessarily analysis. When you make a decision with analysis, you should do so, but it turns out in life that your most important decisions are always made with instinct, or what I like to refer to as taste. And then you just act on those great ideas. For those of you who like to think about the future, like I do, you can do simple calculations. I know that there are people that argue with me and they mention that there's limited resources on Earth and on and on. And here's the calculation that you cannot argue with. Just take the current baseline energy usage on Earth, compound it just a few percent a year for just a few hundred years, and you have to cover the entire surface of the Earth. So you have to decide, do we want society pioneering inventions, expansion, and growth, or do we want a society of statistics? The Earth is finite, and if you want a society of stasis, I think first of all, I don't personally believe I kind of lost my train of thought. What I meant to say was, I believe my mind, like I said, mine wandered off a little. What I'm trying to say is, The more people that are out there in this world, think if we had thousands and thousands of Einsteins or thousands of Mozarts. Wouldn't that be incredible? Don't you want that dynamicism? Dynamism, I think was the word I was trying to say, right? I make up my own words sometimes. Wouldn't that be great? To your future children, Heber, and their children, what kind of world do you want them to live in? Wouldn't you want them to live in this expansive world, learning more about the universe and moving out throughout the whole system? If you're going to do anything new or innovative, you have to be willing to be misunderstood. And if you can't tolerate that, don't do anything new or innovative. Every important thing we've done has been misunderstood, often by well-meaning, sincere critics. Some of them are self-interested, insincere critics. I think I've said enough. I've talked enough here. I'll leave you with this. Question number one, what great idea of yours do you need to act on? Question number two, how can you start on it in a small way today? And question number three, how will you deal with critics who attack your great idea? Remember, guys, customers are always going to be dissatisfied, even when they don't know it. Even when they think they're happy, they actually do in a better way, and they just don't know yet what that should be. And that's why I always warn people, customer obsession is not just listening to customers. Obsession is also inventing on their behalf, because it's not their job to invent for themselves. So you need to be an inventor and a pioneer